Boys, today is the day because we are finally getting rid of these cheap and underwhelming base height adjustable coilovers, and we are going to be replacing them with none other than some of the best Australian design and assembled coilovers from the boys down at MCA Suspension. Boys, welcome back to the YouTube channel. Thank you very much for coming back, because today we have a very exciting day. And firstly and foremost, I do want to thank MCA Suspension, because they have heard our prayers, they've understood what we've gone through with our previous set of coilovers, and they've so graciously come on board as one of our first major sponsors for the channel. Huge shout out to MCA Suspension. They have sent me out a set of their Pro Sport coilovers, which I'll be going into detail later on, and I'll also be talking about a few of the differences between MCA Suspension and the base height coilovers that I've previously had on the BRZ. Now, as always fellas, if you are enjoying the content, please consider subscribing and also give this video a like. It's going to help with all that YouTube algorithm stuff. Make sure you comment down below, give MCA Suspension a huge thank you, and let me know if you are going to be purchasing some MCA suspension for your BRZ. Now, just a quick disclaimer before we get started, boys. I do want to iterate that I am not being paid by MCA Suspension for this video. Even though they have sponsored the channel, they have only sent me out a set of their coilovers to install and test and give my own opinions on. If you watch my previous videos and you're a bit of an OG subscriber, I did install a set of MCA Purple's suspension on the WRX, and they have been nothing short of perfect ever since. I had zero problems. So I have complete faith that these coilovers for this BRZ are going to be the same. Now, also don't forget to follow me on Instagram. Right there, it is 00lock. I have lots of reels coming, got some photos of my car, some more of my dog, more importantly. You can also go and follow MCA Suspension right here on Instagram as well. And make sure you give them a follow, because they have helped this channel out immensely by giving us a set of coilovers. So without further ado, fellas, let's get stuck into it. Let's do an unboxing of the MCA Suspension. So within our MCA pack, we have two front strut coilovers, complete with camber adjustment and dampener adjustment. We also have two rear coilover struts that are just dampener adjustable. This pack also comes with two front sway bar end links that are going to be attached to the front coilovers. You're also supplied with a set of tools, including an Allen key and also a coilover wrench. Now, most importantly, you are also going to get an information pack from MCA. This is going to contain all the information that you're going to need to set up your coilovers, including how to adjust the height, dampening, and all of that good stuff. Now, boys, if you're going to trust anybody to make some suspension the right way, it's going to be MCA. Not only do they have excellent localized support, but they also have a 3-year warranty that includes track days. You are covered for 3 years, which is amazing, because most companies usually offer about a 12-month warranty, so triple the time. How good is that? MCA offers coilovers in lots of different variations, coming from a street setup, a stand setup, and even a racing setup. MCA themselves have competed with their own suspension in the World Time Attack series. If you've got a suspension company that is racing their own suspension in events such as the World Time Attack, then you know they mean business. MCA do offer a lot of support in-house for custom springs, valving, you name it. If you want a setup, they will most likely be able to do it. And if you're not confident to install the coilovers yourself, they do also offer installation services. So give them a call, ask them some questions, they'd be happy to help out. 3-year warranty, 3 years, awesome. Okay fellas, enough talking. We are going to jack the front of the car up, we're going to remove the previous suspension, and then we're going to do a little bit of a comparison between the base height adjustable coilovers and the new MCA Pro Sports. So I've just removed the old Silvers coilovers out of the car, and I wanted to do a little side-by-side comparison between the Silvers and the new MCA suspension. And the main thing that you first notice is that the Silvers are a base height adjustable coilover. So that means if you want to adjust the height, you adjust this collar right here at the base, and what happens is this thread moves through the body of the coilover. You can see it popping out here, and that still allows your spring to stay at the exact same captive state. So then with the MCA suspension, this is already set up from factory. This is not a base height adjustable coilover. MCA have done all the calculations to prove what is the best setup for this BRZ, and what they've done is they've adjusted the base to how it should be based on their calculations, and to adjust the height you use this top collar here with an Allen key. You adjust it and then you just rotate this collar until you want your desired height. To help with this, MCA have installed a little spring helper here, which allows this main spring to stay captive, so you're not going to get any sort of wobbling around within the strut. So why would you buy a spring seat adjusted coilover versus a base height adjusted coilover? Well, this animation shows you exactly why.
When adjusting the length of the coilover by moving the bottom mount position, the height of the car is being lowered, but the bump or suspension travel has no change. This method essentially controls when the coilover bottoms out, and if you do this incorrectly, the wheels can make contact with the car before the shock bottoms out. This is essentially wasting your suspension travel and can potentially damage your vehicle. The correct way to set this up is so that the coilover bottoms out just at the point where the tyre or a suspension component is about to hit some part of the chassis. This will then give the car a safe and usable range of travel. So when you adjust the ride height by moving the spring seat position, you keep the critical compressed length position the same. When you adjust your ride height within that usable and safe travel range, as you lower the car, you will reduce your bump travel and vice versa when raising the car. By doing this, you're able to utilize the suspension travel available whilst keeping your wheels and your car safe.
So from what we've just learnt then, in my own opinion, I believe that the spring seat adjusted coilover is going to be the way to go, because they've done all the calculations in the factory. They've designed it specifically for the vehicle to set up the base height, and therefore you're going to maximize your suspension travel, maximize grip, or for whatever setup that you're trying to achieve. The spring preload is a complete myth. If you have a 6 kilogram per millimeter spring, then it is going to compress by 1 millimeter every 6 kilos. This does not matter. The end result is still the same when you put the car down. It is going to compress the exact same with a 0 millimeter preload versus a 10 millimeter preload. The result is going to be the same. All right, so let's get to installing this brand new MCA Pro Sport coilover, and we'll go over a few of the features that are designed into this specific strut. Okay, so I have installed the MCA strut by just tightening the 3 bolts on the top hat, and I just wanted to show you a really cool feature that now comes with these MCA coilovers, and it's to do with their camber washers. So as you can see on the top and the bottom mount here, we've got what's called a camber washer, and I've just got one here to demonstrate. You can see that the hole is actually offsetted compared to the center of the washer. So that is going to add an extra millimeter or 2 of camber which, you know, in some cases you may require it. But yeah, it's just a really cool thing to get a little bit more camber out of your front struts. I've got 0mm washer on the bottom mount, and I've also got a 1mm washer on the top mount. I do have the choice to actually remove that and install a 2mm washer, but to be honest, I don't think I'm gonna need it, so I'm just gonna keep the 1mm offset for now, and that's going to do me until we start doing some more modifications. What MCA have done to accommodate for their camber washers is they have designed their own hardware as well, which is really cool because you get all new bolts and you also get a sleeve that accommodates for the smaller diameter bolt. And MCA provide you with an installer bolt that has no thread, which allows you to basically mount it like so and whack it in with a hammer, and that's going to press fit that little sleeve into the middle of the knuckle here to accommodate for the bolt. All right. Okay, now that that sleeve has been pushed through and press fitted into the knuckle here, we can use our 14mm bolt, and you can see that there is next to no movement in there, which is great. So now we can proceed to bolt the coilover up and get it assembled. The way to adjust the height on these coilovers is a pretty unique way, which I find is really cool. But you use the supplied Allen key and you put it through this little Allen key hole here and just undo the thread of that bolt that's inside. Now it's nice and loose. So now we should be able to spin this collar. There we go. And we can either spin it clockwise or anti-clockwise. And what that's going to do is that's going to change the height of the coilover. So as you can see, as I lower the height of the car, that this helper spring increases. So you can see that it keeps the spring nice and captive, so it's not going to be floating around in there. It's going to be very secure against the coilover strut itself. And then when you are all finished, all you have to do when you've got your desired height is you just reinsert your Allen key wherever you like it and just tighten it back up like so. And then you shouldn't be able to move. All right, guys, looks like we have everything nice and tight, torqued up to spec. Everything is looking all good, and torqued those up to spec as well. We've come over to the other side here, and I've done the exact same thing to this side. So everything's all torqued up, everything looks great. Now done the rears, and this is what they look like. Nice and tight. These are all torqued to the specs that are required from factory, and I've just lowered the coilover a bit as well. I made a bit of an educated guess. Okay, fellas, it is the next day. I was just super tired. Yesterday afternoon, I finished all the suspension, put everything in, torqued everything up, and it was pretty much dark by the time I finished. So I literally just went inside, had dinner, and went to sleep. And today, we are finally going to make just a few last adjustments. We just need to do the dampening settings, and then we're going to take it for a spin and give our final thoughts on these coilovers. So according to the best setup for the street use, we currently have 10 clicks in the front and 10 clicks in the rear. So that's out of 12, so that's pretty soft. And what we want to do is we want to adjust it to the performance setting, because we're going to be introducing new wheels soon. We're going to have some really tight fitment, so we want that dampening to be pretty spot on and, you know, pretty stiff. So performance is 4 clicks for the front and 6 clicks for the rear. So let's change that now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. Simple as that. Okay, first drive with the new MCA coils. I'm not gonna lie, I'm really nervous. I've got a little bit of PTSD from my previous set of coils, but I'm sure we're gonna be okay. Now, the first test is to see if there's any noise that comes from the coilovers, and I usually hear some noise right about now. No noise. Just normal coilover compression. It's what we like to see. Now I'm just going to go into this little bumpy section here just to fully test it. See if there's any sort of noise that comes from the coilovers. Make sure I've got everything done up tightly and there's no rubbing of anything. Okay, if I'm going to get any sort of clunking or noise, it's going to be right here where all these bumps are. So let's give it a go. Nothing there, very smooth. Another one. Nothing there, very smooth. Let's go. Well, boys, you wouldn't believe it. I'm not going insane. I do know how to install coilovers correctly. That was a big bump. No clunks, just normal coilover compression noise, and that's smooth. That's what we want to see. I think that's the way to go. That seems like a really good balance between stiffness of your dampeners and also comfortability. I haven't tried the other settings. We may end up going stiffer, we may end up going softer, but we'll have to figure that out next video when we fit our new wheels. But wow, that's immediately more comfortable than my previous set of coilovers, so very happy about that. Another thing I want to note is the feedback I get from the road is really not too harsh at all. It's probably just the right amount that I require. And although I'm on my stock wheels at the moment and I'm going to be getting some more feedback when I upgrade and I go larger wheels and a larger tire, and you know, I'm going to obviously get a bit more tread noise from the road, but it really gives you a nice amount of feedback, and that's what you kind of want in like a performance sports car, especially for these types of things. I'm just so stoked, man. Like, I have been under this car and I've had a problem with my suspension for quite some time now. We finally solved it. We finally have some decent quality coilovers. Really happy with the result. Thank you, MCA. You've absolutely saved the game. Well, boys, there you have it. The first test drive in the BRZ with the new MCA coilovers, and I honestly could not be more happy. Honestly, if you're thinking about purchasing coilovers, then I would 100% consider buying some MCA suspension, because between their 3-year warranty and their innovative designs, I really think it's a good bang for buck item. I know it is a little bit more expensive than some of the cheaper brands, but honestly, I think it is going to save you a lot of headache in the long run, and I would really recommend you just save up that little bit extra, because honestly, I think it is 100% worth it for a quality Australian-made and assembled coilover. If you are thinking about purchasing a set of MCA coils for yourself, then you can use the link in my description. That'll take you straight to the website, and they have all the information that you will need to purchase. So, without further ado, let's finish it off. Thank you, boys, and I'll see you in the next one.